I became a person that I did not recognize.
Domestic violence can affect anybody, regardless of age, gender, race, religion, class, or ethnicity. But 80% of cases reported are by women, according to New York State.
It seems easy to think that you can just get in your car and drive away, but it isn't. It's not. You're frozen. Your mind is frozen, and you feel so beaten down.
And according to the State Office for the Prevention of Domestic Violence, women are much more likely to be victims of intimate partner violence, physically, emotionally, financially, or a combination. Liddy says it began like all relationships do, with attraction, kindness, affection. But 6 months later, it took a turn.
I didn't understand why he didn't trust me all of a sudden.
She had 2 young children at the time, a son and a daughter. Her abuser had a young daughter as well.
The first time he came in and asked me where I had been and who I was with. And I didn't know what he was talking about because I was home with the 2 girls and I was home working for him. And then he came out in the other room and threw me against the wall. When that first incident happened, there was a long period of time where nothing happened, and then something else little like that would happen. And then it started becoming more and more.
Domestic violence is about manipulation, intimidation, and control through violence, which intensifies over time.
He'd apologize and he'd say, you know, things will be okay, and he would go buy me things, and they would be fine for a while. It's kind of like the honeymoon period. I'm sorry, well, I'll never do it again. And then it happens again. It got to that point where I just thought, you know, my life could be in danger.
After many calls to a local women's shelter, Liddy was given space for herself and her 2 children, and she had to escape without alerting her abuser. She left with a few belongings and her kids.
It's a very dark place you're in. And you're in that dark place with other women who have been there, and you're all trying to overcome this. I felt like my kids were safe, and I was safe now. And I had hope again, you know.
Liddy says she has many regrets, the biggest, that her children, especially her daughter, was traumatized.
It affected both her and my son. My son is very forgiving, but my daughter was right in the midst of it. I had the mindset, which a lot of women in this instance do. They have the mindset that he's doing it to me, not my daughter.
And she has some advice for those still struggling.
If you're thinking about going back to an abusive relationship, don't do it, because your kids will never be the same.
In part 2 of our in-depth look into domestic violence, we speak to those who are on the front lines of this issue and how the cycle of violence affects the most vulnerable, the children. We also speak to those who helped to rebuild Melissa Liddy's life and how she's paying it forward.